Hi everyone and welcome to my channel Code with Hafiz. In this video I'm going to show you how to perform a single file upload using Vue JS 3 and Laravel 9 for your single page applications. My name is Hafizullah Masoodi, and before starting this tutorial I just want to say, if you find this video useful, don't forget to give it a like and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, a subscribe would be really appreciated. So let's start the tutorial, guys. Well, for this tutorial I already have a nice to do single page application which is already in here, and you can see it in my browser, and it is built with Laravel 9 and Vue JS 3. And if you want to see how I implemented this app, please refer to the description of this video and find the links to the videos and source code there. If you know how to store data using Vue.js and Axios in Laravel, then you are good to go, because I will add the file upload functionality to an existing data store functionality. For example, let's log in first to our system. So I have an account, admin@app.com, and the password is password. And if we go to tasks page, you can see I have this tasks store functionality, which is this new task. So I also want to assign or declare a file input field in here, and because I want to save or upload a file with this task also, so I will create the functionality for this one. If you want to add this file upload functionality to your own project, it doesn't matter, because if you follow the steps shown in this video, I know you will be good to go. So let's start, guys. Now for file upload I will use base64 conversion to convert the file to a string using JavaScript file reader API, and then inside the Laravel controller we will convert the string back to the original file using a PHP package which is image intervention. Now first of all, let's add the file field to our database, because we want to store the file name in some place. In our case it would be the database that this application is connected to. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and I already have opened my project in Visual Studio Code. So in here let's go to app models and let's open task model. So in here you can see I'm already storing this title, date, time and detail for a single task. So what I will do is declare another field in here, and let's name it task underscore file. Now this being done, let's close this model and let's go to the tasks migration. So let's go to database migrations, and let me maximize the sidebar. So let's go to this create tasks table, and in here let's also add the task file field. So let's duplicate this one and let's say task underscore file, and for the type of the input field let's say string, and I also want this field to be nullable. So let's say arrow nullable, and I think that's good to go. So let's close this file. Now the next thing is to run this migration. So what I will do is run a fresh migration, because I already have a task table in the database. So let's open the terminal in here. Let me clear it first, and now let's say php artisan migrate :fresh, and I will also run the db seed. And again, if you wanna see how I did all of this implementation, so you can check out the links in the description of this video. So let's say php artisan db :seed, and now that our users have been created successfully, let's finally run yarn run watch to keep running the compilation of code. So let's close the terminal, it will run in the background. So let's go to the web browser and let's refresh. I shouldn't be logged out because I already have an admin account in the database. So first let's add an input field for the file upload. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code again, and let me minimize everything. Let's go to resources, JS components, and let's go to task component, and let's close the sidebar first to see better, and let's find the forum input fields for the task store. So guys, this is the task model. As you can see, task model, and we have a title, date, time, detail. Now let's create another row for the file upload. So let's say dot row to create a div with a class of row, and then inside this row let's create a call md of 12. So dot call dash md dash 12, and inside here let's create form group, and inside the form group let's create a label which should be for task underscore file, and in here let's say task file, and in here let's also say input type should be file, and let's give it an ID of task underscore file also, and let's also give it a class of forum hyphen controller, and let's also bind it with Vue object. So let's say for example v dash, or guys, we don't want to bind it with the object. Instead what we can do is assign an event for this input field, because we want to track each time it changes the file. So we can say at change, and then we can fire a function. So let's name this function selected task file. Now the next thing is, guys, to create the selected task file field. So let's scroll down and let's head to the methods. Well, in here we have this get tasks, delete tasks, update tasks, and this is the store task. So let's create our function after the store task function. So let's press enter here, and let's say selected task file, and we have event coming from this function. And one thing you should always note, that if we don't declare the event in here, if I may show you again, and where did we declare it? If I scroll to the top, this is the task file. You can see in here we can do like parentheses and $ event also, but if you don't declare this part, it's also alright, because by default this at change event will fire this function and send the event to this function. So we are good to go. Now let's get back to our function, because we want to write some code in here. So first of all, let's get the file from the event. So let's say let file, I will create a variable, and it should be equal to eTarget.files, and then let's say brackets 0. And if you don't know why we did this, let's look out for this event. So let's say console.log e, and let's save everything. Let's get back to the browser, let's refresh, and let's select a file. So I will inspect the console, and don't worry about these console logs, so I will remove them. Now let's select a file. So let's go to pictures, wallpapers, and let's select this one, and you can see it is showing us this event. And if we go to this event, and here we have this target, and in here let's scroll down where we can find these files, and if we click on these files, you can see we have this 0 element in here, and if you open it, you can see it is our file, which is, this is the file name, and its extension is JPG, and its size is around 3.5 megabytes. So this is our file, guys, and to get this file we have to get it from the event. So for that reason we have to type e.target.files and then the first element. So that is about this code. Now the next thing is to use the JavaScript file reader API. So let's create an instance of that. So let's say let, and then let's say reader should equal to and new file reader and parenthesis terminated. Now after this, let's say reader dot onload end, and it should be equal to a function, an anonymous function, and inside this function let's first console log. So console.log, and then let's say reader.result, and after the function let's say reader.read as data URL, and then parenthesis, and then we want to read the file. Now let's save it and let's check out the console. So let's go to the web browser and let's refresh again. Well, let's remove these three console logs. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and I think it is written in the mounted or created. Yeah, let's remove these console logs from here. Let's just scroll down to the function and let's get back to the web browser. Let's refresh, and this time if I select a file, let's select a picture, and now you can see it has been converted to base 64 string, which is what we want. So in here you can see we have a data type of image, and the extension is JPG, and it has been converted to base 64 string. So now what we can do is send this string to our controller, and in there we will convert it back to the image where we can upload it in our project. So let's get back to the Visual Studio Code, and in here instead of console logging the result, let's say this dot task data and then dot task underscore file, which isn't available right now. We will create it in a moment. So let's equal it to let's say reader dot result. Now let's create this task file object. So let's scroll to the top, and yeah, this is the task data. So let's duplicate it and let's say this one is for task file. Now this being done, we are storing the string in this task file object, but we need to pass the task file in our store function. Or guys, we are already passing it. We just need to, for example, get it in the controller. But before that, let's go to the store function, and in here if we check out this store task function, what we can do is after we close the model, we also want to, or we can do that in this create task. So let's empty our task file field first. So task file field, and then we also want to empty the input file field. So for that, in here we can get that from document dot, let's say, query selector, and we have an ID. So let's declare an ID in here, which was task underscore file, and then we have dot value. So we want to empty the file upload field. Now this being done, I think we are finished in here. So what we can do is go to the controller. So let's go to HTTP controllers task controller, and let's find our store method. So let's go to, well, yeah, this is the store task. Well, for now let's return the request. So let's say return $request and then arrow all, because I want to check if we are getting the string. So let's also go to the task component, and in this store task in the then function, let's say console.log response.data. And now let's go to the browser and check our code if it works. So let's refresh. Let's assign a new task. So let's say task number 1. Let's select a date, time, and let's say some text. Let's select a file. So I will select this one, and now let's try to submit it. And if you open this object, you can see we have our file, and it has been also converted to base 64. Now the next part is, guys, that we have to find a way to convert this back to the image, and for that we can use a package. So let's open a new tab and search for image intervention, and let's click on this first link. So in here, let's go to the installation tab, and if you scroll down a little bit, you can see it requires PHP greater or equal to 5.4, and in our case we are using PHP 8 for Laravel 9, so we are good to go. And if we scroll down a little bit, you can see we can install it using Composer. So what I will do is copy this command to this require, because I will not install it using PHP Composer for, but instead I will install it using Composer. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code. Let's open our terminal. Now let's create a new terminal, and let's say Composer, and then we want to paste our code. So require intervention slash image, and now let's press enter. So this being done, guys, let's get back to the web browser, and if we scroll down a little bit, this is for the configuration. So let's copy this line of code. Let's get back to our project, go to sidebar, and let's go to the config folder. So here is the config folder. Let's open app.php, and if we scroll down a little bit, we can paste it in here. Now after pasting this, let's also copy the aliases. So let's go to the browser and let's copy this image alias, and let's paste it in this array. Now let's save this file and we can close it now. Now what we can do is go to our task controller, and I will remove this return, but instead I will check for the file. So let's say if $request arrow task file, so task underscore file. If we have a file, then we want to do something, and let's say else if we don't have a file. So let's create a variable by the name of task underscore file, which should be equal to null. Now inside this if statement, let's get our file first. So let's say task underscore file should equal to well, in here I want to create a new name for the file, so we can do that using time. So let's say time parenthesis, and then I want to concatenate it with the file extension, which we can get from the base 64 string that we have coming in the request, but we have to explode it a couple of times because I want the only the extension of the file. So in here what we can do is concatenate it with explode, and then we want to explode as a slash, and let's say comma explode again, and this time let's say it should be colon. Let's put another comma, let's say sub str, and let's say we want to explode this request arrow task underscore file. So let's say task underscore file, and after this let's say comma 0, because we want to start from the 0 element, and let's say str position should be also, let's say $request arrow task underscore file, and let's put a comma here, and then we want to get the position for before this semicolon. And if we check out the browser, you can see we have our file. So let's say task underscore file should equal to null. Now let's say if $request arrow task underscore file should equal to null, and if we check out the browser, you can see in here we have this semicolon, and we want to get this JPEG. So this being done, let's assign or declare the fields that we want. So in here let's put, I think I have a missing parenthesis, so let's declare it first. Yeah, it's now good. So in here let's say brackets 1, and in here let's also say brackets 1 for the two exploits. Now let's terminate it, and now we can use the image intervention. So let's say image : make, and let's say $request arrow task underscore file, and then we want to save it. So let's say arrow save, and we want to save it in public underscore path, and the path should be inside public folder. So in here let's say images / tasks / then the file name. So let's say concatenate it with $task underscore file. And after saving the file in the directory, we also want to save the file name, the new file name, in the database. So in here let's duplicate it, and let's say task underscore file should equal to task underscore file. And I think we are good to go. But don't forget to import this image intervention at the top. So in here let's say use image. Now I think we are good to go. But let's also create this these folders in our public directory. So let's go to public, right click, new folder, images, and inside here let's say another new folder, tasks. Now let's go to the browser and check our code if it works. So let's go to the browser. Well, let me minimize this console a little bit. Let's refresh our application, and let's say new task. Let's say task number 1, a date for it, and time also, some text, and let's select a file for it, and let's create task. And we have an error. If we click on it, let's click on this error, can't write image data. Well guys, this error is because I am using Linux, so I have to give some permissions to my project directory, because for now I don't have permissions to write something in this public directory. So what I can do is go back to the Visual Studio Code, and in the terminal, or let's open another terminal, and let's go to project directory. So cd /opt lamp /htdocs, and then to do app. Well, not to do app, let's go back one folder, because I want to give the directory some permissions. So let's say sudo chmod and capital R, because it's a directory, and then 757, and let's say to do app. Now I will put my password here, and after giving it some permissions, now I think we shouldn't get any errors. So let's refresh again here, and now let's try to submit a file with this task. So let's say task number 1, a date for it, and time also, and let's say some text, and let's select a file for it, and let's create the task. And you can see it has been uploaded, and the task has been created, and we don't have any errors. And for now, if we check out our public images, you can see we have uploaded the file. And if we go to the database, so let's go to the database, to do app, and in here let's go to tasks. You can see our file has been uploaded successfully. Now this being done, I will show you something extra also, and that is reading the file and showing it in our list also. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code. Let me close this file, and let's go to our task component. I will close the sidebar and the terminal also, and let's scroll to our table, and this is our table. And after the detail, let's create another th and let's say task file, and in here at the bottom this is our detail. So let's press enter here. Let's create another TD, and inside this TD let's create an anchor tag, and inside this anchor tag let's create an image field. So for the source, what I will do is bind it with Vue object, and in here I will declare the URL for the image. So what I can do is use template literals, and in here let's say $, curly braces, and we will have a URL object that we will create in a moment, and then we will have our $, curly braces, task.task file, so task_file. Now for the alt, let's say task file, well this should be underscore, and for the href I will also bind it to Vue object. So let's say a colon here, and then in here I also want to declare this URL, path to the file. So let's copy it and paste it in here also, and I also want to target this href or anchor tag to a blank page, so target should equal to _blank, and then let's also say v-show, because if we have an image then we want to show an image. So in here let's say v-show if there is a task.task_file, and if we don't have a file, in here let's create a paragraph tag in which let's say 3 dots, and let's say v-show if we don't have a task file. So exclamation mark task.task_file. Now this being done, guys, let's create our URL, because for now we have this task file name, but we don't have this URL object. So what I will do is go to the data property. So let's go to the data property, and in here at the top let's create our URL. So URL colon should be a string. Well, before the string I want to say window.url, then we want to concatenate, and I have this global URL in my app.js. So let's go to app.js, and in here you can see I have this window URL to do app public. So the only thing that I must declare in here is images/tasks, and if I save it now, let's go back to the browser and let's reload, and it's broken. Well, let's go back to the Visual Studio Code and see what is the problem, and I think I have found a problem. Well, let's declare a slash in here. So let's save it, and let's get back to the browser, refresh, and now you can see we have our image, but its size is not what I want. So what I can do is go back to the Visual Studio Code. Let's scroll to the table. Let me close the sidebar, and for this image tag let's declare a width, and let's declare it 100. Let's save it. Let's get back to the browser, refresh, and now it looks much better, and if we click on it you can see it is opening our file. So guys, this was how to upload store a file using Vue JS 3 and Laravel 9 in your single page applications, and we also did read the file from the database and the folder, and I have showed you how you can get the file from the public directory also. Now this being done, you have learned how to upload a single file using Vue JS 3 and Laravel 9 with image intervention and base 64 conversion. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and if so, don't forget to give the thumbs up and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe also if you want more videos like this. Now thanks for watching. See ya guys in the next video.